I really appreciate what you said writing this book, that it is the book that you wish that someone had placed in your hands as you were getting the diagnosis for Bruce.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that day and the day after. But first, I hope you don't mind if we start with the part of the book where you focus on your love story, how it all started.
Yeah. I mean, I met Bruce at our trainers, Gunnar Peterson. And, you know, our time started sort of overlapping, and I got to know him. And I got to see just what a down-to-earth, humble person he was. So our relationship didn't really take off until many years later, actually. And then our paths crossed again.
So that first meeting, nothing happened. Then you met him years later.
Yeah.
And he invited you to a weekend with his family.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't a weekend. It was come celebrate New Year's with us.
Okay, come celebrate New Year's.
Yeah. At Turks and Caicos, come out for a week with my ex-wife, her husband at the time, and my 3 daughters. And I was like, whoa.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And I said, but thank you so much. Let's pick this up in the new year.
Yeah.
And I'll see you, back in New York. But he was very persistent. And a friend of mine, Ali, who was with me, was like, what are you doing? We can change our plans. He, obviously his intentions are good. His ex-wife is there. His 3 children are there. Go outside your comfort zone a little bit. And I did.
And you did. And what did you discover on that trip?
I discovered what an incredible family man he was.
You got to see him interact with his daughters.
With his daughters, I got to see him, the interaction between him and Demi and the new husband. And I just thought, how modern and how great. And it really sort of just changed my whole thinking of him and who he was.
Yes, yeah. And it's so interesting because I was reading this and I was sharing this with the producers. I said, I always felt that I was not going to have children. So I never looked at any man thinking, oh, he will be good, he will be a good father, or he will be good with children. But when you saw him with the children, you thought, oh, this is the kind of man I would want to have children with, or to be the father of my children.
Exactly right. It was like to see the test run, and the test run was good. I was like, I could see myself with someone like that.
Bruce Willis is a father to 5 daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, with actress Demi Moore, who we'll hear from a little bit later. And he and Emma have 2 girls, Mabel and Evelyn. And the things that you mentioned that really made him even more attractive to you is that you felt that he was a gentleman and that he was good with the tip. I love a man that understands how to tip.
He's very generous.
Yeah.
Bruce worked in the service industry prior to being an actor, and he relied on those tips. And, that's always sort of been embedded in my mind of always be generous.
Always be generous.
Always be generous. So he was a great tipper. And I love that about him.
And you all have now been married 16 years, and you have 2 daughters, Mabel, who's 12, and Evelyn, who's 10.
So they just had birthdays, 13 and 11.
13 and 11,
yep.
Okay.
Preteens and a teenager.
So what was he like before the illness as a husband and a father?
I mean, as a husband, just everything that I could have dreamed of. I mean, honestly, like Bruce, I wanted the white picket fence. I wanted the 2 children. That was the dream. And Bruce really gave that to me. He really did. And, as a father, just so fun. If he was in charge of those kids, they'd be sleeping in, going to the beach, missing school, going to Disneyland. He was just a fun guy. His whole thing was that he always put his children first. And with that, through that lens now, that's how I navigate my world today. What would Bruce want?
What would Bruce want?
Yeah.
Yes.
What would he want for his daughters?
So you write that before he was diagnosed, that you knew something was off. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you is because I thought you did such an excellent job actually as in providing a toolkit for other caregivers. It's not just your story, but it's what you learned as a result of having to go through this journey that you're still on, and being able to offer what you've learned to other people, which is what, the best thing that you can do. Maya Angelou always says, when you learn, teach, when you get, give. And that's what you're actually doing in The Unexpected Journey. In Chapter 1 of The Unexpected Journey, Emma writes of Bruce's symptoms.
I can't pinpoint exactly when it started. It's very gray. But at some point, our relationship began to feel off. And there seemed to be a lot of miscommunications between the two of us. I was often annoyed with Bruce. Chaos was building in our home, and life felt increasingly unmanageable. Over time, I began to suspect that the issue wasn't Bruce's hearing or a rocky patch in our marriage, and that instinct made me realize that we should go to the doctor. In simple terms, for Bruce, it started with speech and spread. I finally understood that those crazy marital issues were not Bruce. Neither were those off moments and subtle shifts in his personality. They were the result of his brain being dismantled, taking part of the husband I knew and loved with it.
So this is to help those of you who are going through it or will have to go through it or who have experienced it. As I said when I first met Emma today, that I think this is going to be so liberating for so many people. And at some point, you saw that his behavior started to change, but you didn't have a name for it or didn't know what to call it. So tell us what you first started to notice.
I mean, for me, it's very gray, and it is a hard question to even answer. It's hard for me to know where Bruce stopped and where his disease started to kick in.
Mm-hmm. But what did you start to notice?
For Bruce, it was language.
It was language.
Yeah. He was diagnosed with primary progressive aphasia, which is also known as PPA. It's a subvariant of FTD. So for him, it was language. But also, in our marriage, I started realizing that, we weren't aligning on things like we used to. Conversations that we had, he wasn't recalling. And our values just didn't seem to be matching anymore.
Can you give us an example of the language issue?
So Bruce had a stutter when he was a child, like a severe stutter. And when he went to college, he met someone that helped him sort of get a handle, quote unquote, on his stutter. And that was to go into a drama class. And what he realized is that when he memorized these scripts, that he could recite them without stuttering. So Bruce has been able, I think over the years from college and on, he has always been a person that stuttered. He's just known how to handle the stutter. What I noticed was that his stutter started coming back. And I just thought that was interesting. But never in a million years would I think that was a symptom of a young onset dementia.